I'll leave the call again. We'll see. You're from Niagara Falls? Hello?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Hear me?
sounds good, mate. Let's see if it
Okay.
lasts more than 5 seconds this time.
I hope that it does. Yeah, I don't know what happened before. I'm gonna go into my StarCraft game and hopefully you can still hear me.
Yeah, sounds good. Let's
You
do
can
it.
still hear
All
me?
right, yeah,
Okay,
yep.
cool.
It was just
Cool,
a...
cool, cool.
Did you change anything to fix that?
I
Or
did
did...
not change anything.
Yep, off and on again. Off and on again, mate. That's always it, isn't it? Sound issues
That's
are the
all
smartest
that's all
issues.
we did. So,
Yeah.
my TvZ is my strongest matchup. It's kind of the reason why I'm still Diamond 1. I win 70% of my TvZ games. So I'm really happy with this build. It's a really weird outgrowth of the build that we coached about a year ago. I know that's
There's
going to
your
look
Hellbat
really different.
Marauder with like BCs and all sorts of wild
It's
shit. And you're very
crazy.
Florencio focused. You're just trying to counter your opponent's units. You're trying to like 100% get a read on your opponent and
Hmm.
counter that what they're trying to go for, and you're trying to keep that flexibility at the core. So it's like acrobatic style of StarCraft. Like mega flexibility, it's what we don't focus on when we're trying to improve fundamentals, but it's your rhythm and it's what your skill set is, and it's something we can always look for adding another twist or turn to our knowledge, right? Oh, in
Yeah.
this situation, like let's actually because he counters my counter with this, but I can counter the counter with that, and I can be ready to counter the counter by getting that extra
Yes.
gas ahead of time. Like that's what we kind of want to focus on with this sort of kind of out there play style, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and I like this too because it typically does pretty well against cheese. Like I actually just hit a 16 pool. They killed my Reaper and they made me cancel my natural, and I did the rest of the build exactly the same, and it still totally worked.
Awesome. Can you
So
make me the party leader just so we can hop in the replay? Might as well look at the game while we talk.
yes,
Oh, not the
we can
party leader. Sorry, the lobby host.
promote
Now I'm even saying the
lobby
wrong thing.
host.
Awesome. So you got behind, lost the command center, and then you still managed to kind of
I
get
was
back
still
in it.
able, and I have that replay, but this replay is actually the one that I just finished, like right before this call, so it's very fresh.
Awesome. Kupo, you ready to die, boy? Let's see. See if you can handle the chaos. Okay, should be good. Just get my hotkeys fixed up there. All right. Okay, so we're starting off with what looks like, was this a gas first, right?
Guess
All right,
first.
gas first expand, no scout at all. So
Not with the SEV, but I do send the Reaper.
yeah. So it's like I guess like the crazy 13-12s and one base ravages, you got to have like an insanely tight response to hold on. But that's a pretty low
Yeah.
percentage.
Those builds I have a hard time with.
Acceptable
Early
risk though,
Ravagers.
right? If it's not too high, too often you run into it, I'm assuming it's okay.
I'm guessing it's about 30% of the time.
Lol. Well, see how it goes. Oh, so you actually go straight into tech lab on the barracks, and then the factory builds its own reactor. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, because I will need a lot of Hellbats later, but one Marauder typically is a good answer to the early like 2-4 lings that get sent across the map right about now. So, you know, yeah, so he's got 4 lings that will eventually get over there. But though the Marauder, along with my Reaper, can pretty much defend against that. I've also been putting more emphasis on Marauders with this build and lower priority on Hellbats because a lot of people have been going Roaches to counter this, and so having more Marauders is better against Roaches.
Roaches seem like the cool thing in the meta. So really simple thing. We should obviously never just be chilling out front. Like your Hellion production is very late, so you're always going to be a little vulnerable. Wedge the Marauder between the mineral and the gas. You should have your barracks rally point to that little gap in the minerals. So I always do this even when I'm doing a Hellion play, because I often like to leave like small windows where I don't like my Hellions are just like they're only 5 seconds built, and I'm going to leave no Hellions at home and my Wallon's not finished. So I know there's a chance they could run Zerglings in, but I will actually put my 1 or 2 Marines wedged in that rally point. And then if they go for the SCVs, I can stack the SCVs in the pocket And like if they come with enough lings, they can kill those Marines, but it buys quite a few seconds because they've got to wrap around manually to get around behind the mineral line. They kill them, and then you got Hellions out. You've bought time. A Marauder in there, it's gonna kill 4 lings easy. So that's like it's the same way like how you rally your Hellions to your ramp, right? You don't rally them out front the depot, or they're just gonna get surrounded. No time to react. You rally them on the ramp or on top of it. Same thing with the Marauder. Cool, tiny little adjustment. Not a big thing, but
that'll really help. I didn't think about doing that.
Let's start actually writing some notes. So, okay, so coaching March 27th. We've got lots of info there. I'm just going to put all your info down and just start typing from the top. You can reorganize at the end however you want. Replay on Nightshade versus Kupo. Always rally Marauder to Mineral Gap to buy time, safety, etc. Cool. Other than that, we're always going Viking with any sort of Hellbat Marauder. Always a good choice. Going to try and deny that info. I also, Roaches are big in the meta right now, so I don't mind this focus on Marauders. And as we know, if they're going heavy Ling and you've got like even just 4 Hellions, if the Lings are wrapping around the Marauders, they're stacking up. The Hellions can roast them pretty damn well. So kind of cool. We go with no medevac, right? Because you go the lib.
That's right. Yeah, I don't build any medevacs unless I have a bio transition. But that comes later.
The lib's got a bit more power to it anyway. Probably could have started moving this ground army across by now. We're just a little slow, but it looks like it'll time out all right. Okay, so this is massively committed, same as the build a year ago, which was the thing we said at the time, where it's like, okay, we got to do damage to this, and that's fine, as long as we just keep that in mind. We will have games where they hold this really good Baneling hits and a Ling wraparound or something, or just enough Roach Ravager and some nice micro and biles and stuff. And we'll have other games where we just get way ahead and we kind of win off that. Just too close. So with that Lib Siege up, you didn't queue that to come in from the inside. I wouldn't have minded that if you'd queued it to move south a little bit more before sieging on the hatch. Right? Because if you were sieging from the bottom right, you're never going to be in range of that Spore Crawler. But because you kind of came in from the top right, so if you'd kind of come down to like where these 2 Overlords are first, and then told it to siege, that would have been a little nice. I also am a big fan of just barely having the ring over the minerals and the gas on the other side. Like, notice how you've got it really thick over it. You really only need just a little bit over the edge.
That was lazy.
Just a slight misplace. Yeah, it's crazy how much of a difference that makes as well, right? Because that is such a game winner sometimes, that lib. The number of times. Oh, and you even send the Reaper in separately with the Viking land as well, is it? Or is the Viking just...
I don't land the Viking because I tend to get a lot of Overlord kills with that Viking, so I wanted to just keep hunting Overlords.
And he's actually going to clean this up pretty well. Ooh, well done. Very well done by your opponent. But I like that. Yeah, more Hellbats come in. Third CC's on the high ground, and then we're like, bam, into air. Oh, this is so YOLO. I love it. This is cool, man. I really, this is some shit, which I only do. I've done builds like this when I'm like, in the past, when I used to always do Star-Lord at the end of the stream and I was tired and I was like, look, I know I can't do bio tank fucking mechanical macro hero marine TvZ or something, like you know what, let's do a timing and then let's just like swap into air and see if it works. And yeah, man, especially if they don't realize what's happening. And that's what, the follow-up Hellbats, more chaos, more distraction. You're not injecting, you're oh, another lib going across. We're keeping him occupied. So I like that there is an extension of the pressure. Normally we're doing a more solid macro standard build. We do the opposite of that. We say, no, like focus on your macro. You're going to spend your money. You don't have that much to do, right? With this build, it's like just put on gases, start the 3rd CC, start the 3 ports. Your starports were 20 seconds late. Your BCs were out slightly later, so you couldn't hit your BC attack. Like, that's not really as big a thing as surprising your opponent, hiding them, and really keeping them occupied and throwing them off. And, like this lib coming in, this Lingbane counterattack. Oh,
I did a better job of microing it this time.
Much better. Yeah, it came in from that correct angle. Really nicely done. So this is cool. Okay, so Lib Siege, always from correct side. Obviously misplaced this game. You know that. Viking. Okay, so we've got that beautiful 3-pronged attack. The Viking, the Reaper. Viking kills Ovies, Lib hits the main. They go towards the natural, which is great because that's the heart of the drones. And the drones start panicking. They're like, shit, I can't run the drones from the natural to the main. I can't run from the main to the natural. So that's part of why you're gonna basically create extra panic, and you're gonna force them to think a little bit more about where they're moving their drones and how they're adapting. So that's going to cause more chaos. So there's always going to be a lull in your build at this point, right? You're defending more Hellions, more Marauders. There's like this lull. BCs is just your normal follow-up here, right?
BCs are my reaction to Ling Bane. If I see a lot of roaches, then I'll have a bio follow-up instead. Because I know that seems weird because obviously BCs are good against roaches. They just take too long to build. So the bio gets built faster.
It's more about the tank as well initially,
yes.
I would say, because you need to put a tank in the build. Whichever, like if there's a lot of roaches, you could do the BC build, but you'd need to swap the factory. So just when you do bio, I imagine you just swap that factory off to a tech lab and start building tanks straight away, because your bio is going to suck for a long time, right? That takes a long time to get together. And like you said, you prioritize your upgrades because you know you're probably behind in those. So you're going 1-1.
Oh, yeah.
You're waiting for your stim, then your shields to kick in. It's a bit of a slow transition. So I guess the tank is super vital there. Cool. Okay.
So you see this second follow-up now. So my first BC is arriving at the same time that I've got more Hellbats and more Marauders moving across the map.
What do you think about hitting the third at the same time? I feel like we're missing an opportunity here for some of these Hellbats, even if it was just 3 Hellbats queued to like run into the third and morph Hellbat. I guess you know there's a spine there, so you wouldn't morph Hellbats on that third necessarily. You might just like run in with 4 Hellions and shift click the drones on the third. But
yeah, it depends on the creep spread. It's just about the surprise factor. So like the creep spread is kind of in the middle here, so I don't want to. It's weird to go around. I see that the creep spread is less on the left, so I wanted to hit the left.
Okay, cool. That makes sense. I'm down with that. I mean, if you're doing racy car version rather than Hellbat version, you can just have them hiding in the grass on the right, and that just comes in as the final swing. So it's like, because it doesn't matter because they move so fast, but it's also you're already occupying them with the other ones. Like if you go in with it first, maybe not a good idea, right? But if you come in with it as the last swing, we can do that. So I'm just going to write like a little note here just to kind of say like, even if a lot of creep, remember that a final prong of a multi-prong of Hellions plus shift-clicking drones can be super effective on the base that you're not targeting with the BC Hellbat attack, right?
Yeah.
I guess the other thing we could do there, let's take a look. So when we do this little attack, oops. Okay. So you like to fly your BCs across so they can surprise. Let's see. Did that creep spot this BC? We did show this BC just a little early. Slight mistake there.
Yeah.
Do you normally try to group those 2 BCs? Like I feel like here maybe if we group them, or are you trying to just kind of create as much threat in as many bases at once?
I create a lot of threat, but I'm also really trying to bait out Corruptors, because Corruptors are one of those units that have a great amount of defensive power against the BCs, but otherwise don't have much utility. And so if I can bait out Corruptors, then I can either switch Bio or I can switch to Thors, and I can get a lot of damage in the late game.
Okay, cool. Just kind of get them stuck on Roach Corruptor or something like that, yeah.
Yeah, especially if I see them going Broodlords, then I can swap into like 3 factories and start making a bunch of Thors.
So this attack didn't go too well this time. It was not bad.
This wasn't the best.
Yeah. And then we're kind of just queuing the BCs, so I kind of like the automation of it. Where you're just kind of like QBCs. Like we even got the rally point across the map, right? Yeah. You've actually queued the rally point through. That's great. That's really, really cute. Because you're just trying to be a dick, and this is what BCs are good for. So you're saying, I'm going to keep you busy, and then I'm going to go into my other stuff. Now, in terms of like finishing blows, obviously Bio is very flexible and stuff. So in this case, you're
Yeah.
going bio. Like, sorry. So what? Let's think about our other than just overwhelming with like bio multi-prong, which obviously, if they don't, have enough economy, they can't do it. You've got mass Thor. You mentioned there as an option. Do you ever keep massing BCs, or do you just find like no? It's like let's get momentum. Let's fly these BCs through. But is this kind of like the maximum number of BCs? Like, when do you keep going BCs? Is there an option for that, or is it usually 4, 5, 6 at the most?
It's 4, 5, or 6. Because he's either going to mass Hydras or he's going to go Corruptors. He's not like most people don't let me just keep making BCs. They have a limited utility, and so because I saw the Hydras, I was like, okay, Hydras, I'm gonna make bio, and that was and the BC is always I can always group them in later, but no, that I don't need more than 4 or 5 BCs at a time.
So I'm noticing a bigger version to siege tanks. So both roaches earlier, like I said, tanks are great for keeping you alive. It's hard to finish the game necessarily with tanks and push through creep, which is why I imagine you don't go them. But also against mass Hydra, yes, you can beat mass Hydra with bio, but if they've got enough banelings, it's very hard without any siege tanks, especially like at this point. If 30 Hydras came across, I'd be real worried for you. I'd be very worried for you. We're kind of caught in this slightly awkward position. Mass repair on the BC maybe would do it, but if they had like 1-1 upgrades and you're in 0-0, I'm not so sure. So I guess what I'm thinking about, and just dragging that accidentally, is should we be squeezing a tank or two out against any Roach or Hydra play by default, at least? Because even just 1 or 2 tanks behind these depots is so good as an anchor to keep you alive in these moments, right? And yeah, I also kind of feel like we could have exploded into more expansions by this point, and like the combination of like sneaky corner bases going up, preferably because you're so harassment oriented. I feel like we should have one going up in each corner with the way you did that BC harass. So I guess let's start with the siege tanks. First of all, tanks for general safety versus any, and this would be any Hydra or a Roach play. What do we think about that idea? What are your thoughts?
I think it's a great idea. I think that I need to get better at using tanks offensively, because what I fall into is I'll build a bunch of tanks for defense, but then that becomes such a tank on my supply. I end up having so much supply wrapped up in tanks, and then I'm just not very good at using them to
get a push going. Yeah, it's easy to lose momentum. I'm thinking like literally we swap that factory over and do 2 or 3, because you kind of stop doing your Hellion run bys at this point anyway. And I mean I love non-stop Hellion run bys, and I'm like totally okay with you being like, no, that never leaves the reactor. Like these, I never stop Hellion run buying with my Blue Flame, my Hellbats, and I will never stop that. And like that's part of my plan. I'd be like, all right, stick with it, because you're not doing them anyway at this point. I'm like, oh, that could swap over, and we could just be like, hey, at some point in the midst of that like BC pressure, after that first BC Hellbat attack, maybe we build a few more Hellions, but sometime after there, and this is for you to decide, whatever you think sounds good, we could just build 2 or 3 tanks for safety, because you did get 3 tanks out here. They were just a little later than I kind of was looking for. And I wouldn't want you to go more than that. We don't want you to go double factory, triple fact tank. That's not your style. That's not your style. And they're too, sorry, excuse me, immobile and counterable. They're too immobile and counterable, right?
Yeah,
So okay, cool. I got 10 tanks. Oh, he's got creep across the map. I guess I'll push. Oh, he's got brood lords. This is awkward. I don't want you to get all gumped up and feel awkward with that by any means. Yeah, so I guess you kind of were already doing it, but maybe just doing it a little bit earlier. So what do you think about that idea of like literally right after, like as you're moving out with the first 2 BC tank timing, 2 BC Hellbat timing, swap factory?
Yeah, I like that idea. Like the trigger for the factory swap is the first BC. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a good way to do it. So we end up just kind of diving in and hitting. I like the BCs kind of jumping in the main, and you're trying to just overwhelm. Obviously, it was like, he had the upgrade advantage. I think the lack of the corner bases is huge. Let's talk, sorry, corner bases. Yeah, okay, so we also want to go, as that attack hits, CC in each corner of the map. And I think you've got a very good chance of getting that up and turning them into planetaries. I think this game, we could be so much more overwhelming because we had 37 workers on our third for a few minutes here, right?
Oh yeah, way too long.
If we just had that fourth up earlier, and especially if we were just already dropping mules in these two corner bases, and this fourth can go up at the same time, because we don't want to stretch out and expose ourselves to a counterattack too early, but that can be quite big. I think if we take a look, I think you were still dropping mules in your main for a long time this game. Let's take a little glance. Yeah, you were.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm bad about that. Just like if I'm looking in my main and I'm dropping mules, I drop the mules wherever I see them.
Yeah.
Those would have been better on the third.
Yeah, your mineral patches do mine out very quickly in your main and your natural. Whereas like if you keep moving to the new bases, you keep more pockets. So that's a hard habit to work on. I think if we've got this much map control in this sort of game, you're naturally going to be able to transfer, send 15 SCVs to the top right, 15 to the bottom left. Anyway,
Yeah.
like you'll have enough room to do that at some point, so it won't matter too much. So rather than change the underlying mechanical habit that's there, let's just deal with the symptom of it, which is not always the right decision. Here I actually think it is, because I think those corner bases, we want to use them anyway with your style. It all meshes. So this composition is looking real weird right now. Why do we have more Hellbats? Where did they come from? Did we maybe accidentally build those out of this single factory, or?
No. We built those a long time ago and didn't use them for anything.
They were just hanging out. Okay, cool.
They were just hanging out.
All right,
And
they
so
didn't
now,
come with that
because
last
I'm pushing,
push.
they're like, hey, they're gonna come along,
Okay. Oh, right. Sorry, I actually forgot. This is that big. I thought we were later in the I forgot I rewinded back to this point. This is the big first biotank push. I thought this was a second biotank push.
I've lost count. Yeah. I think this is the first bio.
Yeah, this is the first bio push. So, I guess, do you ever find this push just gets like wiped, and like, is this an area we want to talk about, this bio push, and how you think about and use that push, or?
I don't know. It's not something that happens every game. By this point in the game, I'm very reactive. I think that when I have trouble with bio, it's not versus banelings, it's versus infestors. I do have a hard time with infestors. The good news is most Zerg players and Diamond just don't use spellcasters. But if they're really good with infestors, that can be a real problem for me.
All right.
You can imagine what this fight would look like with a few fungals.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so you're gonna have to just do a little bit more of spreading forwards, and the thing is, especially if they've got infestors, you want to focus even more on the distraction. Now, one thing you can do is just drop every mineral line, because you've got your BCs left over. That's too complicated. What are we going to use the BCs and drop every mineral line and push the front? That's hard. That's very hard. So I think what we want to focus on here is the fact that we should have known ahead of time we were going for this sort of push. And those BCs should have been ready over on the left-hand side of the map so that they don't have to use the teleport. Because if they flew through the natural in the main and started going for like some tech structures or something, or killing lots of drones, and then the corruptors or hydras or whatever goes back, and then you blink over to like, well, your main push is hitting through there. You see my signals, yeah?
Yeah.
And then your BCs teleport up there and snipe that base and run home, kind of thing. And they might actually get out of there, but it's just creating so much more chaos, and your opponent's getting whipped around, and they're like, fuck, get back here. What the shit are you doing? So I think setting those BCs up for that before the push seems like a really good idea to me. Bio push combo with BCs diving into the main. So be ready ahead on the edge of the map, so you don't need to use the jump to get in there, and then can jump out to the fifth and snipe it on the way home whilst bio pushes the other way. And that's just more chaos, harder for them to deal with. And those BCs are such a good resource, because what can happen there is then the fight gets really scrappy for them, and the corruptors might end up, many of them, dying. And then if that happens because they're fighting the medevacs and your marines kill them, and then the BCs are still alive for the next fight, the Zerg is like, oh, I did not want to spend another 1,500 minerals and 1,000 gas on this shitty corruptor unit that, like, isn't going to help me with the ground army, because I don't even know if there's going to be more BCs, and then you're going to 3-3 bio, and you're kind of progressing that line. In general, I feel like double upgraded Thors obviously is just like a nice endgame unit that most people struggle to deal with.
Yes.
So I feel like if we had those 2 corner bases up, that bit more of an explosive economy, I guess we could probably have a second armory go down and like 2 or 3 more factories.
Yeah.
Thors as a great generic finisher. And obviously, like, if your opponent's going things that Thors aren't great against, you don't have to commit as hard to them, right?
Yeah.
So after corner bases up and taking normal fourth, add 3 factories, second armory, and start gearing up for that. And, I mean, you can always use that to just, like, he's going Ling Bane. I can actually build Widow Mines 4 at a time and add drilling claws. Like, you know, I can build Hellions 4 at a time. I can build tanks, a round of 4 or 8 siege tanks. If for some reason they're remaxing on Roach Hydra, and I know I just need to survive because I've ruined his economy, just get out of round of tanks, you know? It does give you some more flexibility in that regard in terms of that countering, which you love to do. So, yeah, I think that'd be really cool, man. All right. I'll 8 times the rest of this replay.
Sure.
What's popping around in that noggin of yours? What are we thinking? We'll come up with a few little optimizations and ways of being a dick. You see that you still got that Florencio kill the units after they leave. Nice.
Yeah.
Should we hop in another replay?
Sure. Let's do it.
Awesome, man. This is a very crazy style. So I'm going to look at chat and see if there's anyone hating. Well, this is not Hero Marines build, because that'll entertain me having that conversation. Because most Terran players are the opposite of you. Do exactly as I saw Maru or Hero Marine do in the most recent pro game I watched. Zero variation. And that's what I do a lot. It's, you know, when I've recently tried to play more generic with my Terran, and it's had some games I feel like I've become infinitely more solid, and other times I become infinitely worse because I'm inflexible and stubborn and stupid and I'm not playing adaptively. But there's always strength in many different ways of playing. Doesn't look like anyone's backseating too much. Pig's face doesn't approve of the strategy, someone said. I mean, I got to think hard whenever I'm looking at your builds, because I'm like, huh? How's that work? Because it's not all standard logic. Like, this is all not the most generic, I do this to counter this. We're thinking, sometimes we're cutting a corner. Sometimes we're jumping ahead to something that's not the normal counter for it. But there is always a reasoning, which you've been giving me, that's why I ask you a lot of questions here. So I'm like, oh, do you do this because of that? Like, your explanations are what gives me, okay, that's how we make this work, right? And that's the important thing. People like, I got asked this a lot in the last week. I had a little rant about it the other day. People like, oh, can you make a video telling me about the unit counters in StarCraft? And I was like, this would be like an hour and a half video. Like, it's so much about how you use those units and how, like I'm like, you know, like Hellions can beat Hydras, but like if you don't know how to micro it all, Hellions are probably going to get dicked by those Hydras unless you like massively outnumber them. You know, like, you know, it's like there's just so many little details which we could go over, and it's like actually not that useful on its own. It's much more useful for someone to both explore those counters themselves. Which someone like you, Kilkenny, has done to an extreme example. You know, you and Florencia is like extreme level of figuring out how you can make shit work in your own way. But it's also like just ask questions as well. Like, wait. So there's a specific scenario that I couldn't figure out. And I think addressing and tackling those problems as you go. A lot of people like want to be, I want to play the game and I want to know ahead of time how to counter everything I see. And I'm like, yeah, like guys, you can make it to GM. You're still going to see shit you won't know what to do against. Like, it's going to happen. It's like 5-base mass Widow Mine. Like, I haven't played against this before. There's always a variation you haven't played against that doesn't quite make sense in a certain matchup to you, and you've got to go back to the drawing board. So you're never going to go into a StarCraft game with every unit counter absolutely prepared and understanding everything. And it's much more important to just get out there and kind of like, you know, roll around in the mud of the ladder and figure it out and figure out what works for you. Yeah,
this was bad. Yeah, I didn't catch this at all.
I did that today against Steven when I had SCV scouted and seen the Lings coming. And I was like, I wonder if they'll go through the middle and not try to dodge. I'll A-move to go see. And I just didn't micro it. It just got surrounded. And I was like, well, Like, I'm really dumb, aren't I?
I've played against Steven before. He absolutely murders me.
Steven's crazy, dude. There's like, he's one of those guys, like, that there's certain cheesy players who, when you play them, you feel like they have zero respect for the fact that they're dead. Like, Bly has this as well. You're like, no, like, you're dead, like, and you've never played against someone who keeps fighting. And, like, he's like, you've got him held down, you're literally strangling the last breath out of his lungs, and somehow he's playing harder and faster and more doggedly at that point than at any point up to that. And you're like, why are you getting stronger as you're more dead? And they look for, like, they've got so much experience fighting from a dead position and fighting from their back that they know how to give themselves a chance. It's not a big chance, but, like, if you let your guard down, they actually will bring it back. And, like, I've had so many games where I'm beating Steven and other players like him, and I, like, almost let it slip away, and I'm like, no, I was a triple work account. My army was twice the size. What the fuck? I'm like, who tries for the 17th Ling run by and starts a base trade and somehow it gets going? It's cool because it forces you to realize, like, no, like, you need to like get put through your paces. Like, you need to finish the game. If you don't finish your opponent, you don't get a win. If they want to keep fighting, they can do it. And, like, sometimes people are like, why don't you just fucking leave the game when I'm, like, there and I'm dead? And I'm like, don't get me wrong. If I'm emo and upset, I'm not really making good plays. I'm just sitting there and refusing to leave because I'm angry. Yes, just leave the game is the right call. But if I'm actually just calmly, like, playing and putting my opponent through their paces and just going, let's see if I can force a mistake. Let's see if that is one of the best things you can do for your own attitude, because it teaches you, like, let's give myself a chance. And that is also why all of my greatest comebacks have been games where I thought I was dead and I said, let's just give it a go. And I just work at it and I work for those gambles. And it's like, you know what? Like, I'm not going to win with standard play. We're going only Zerglings. All right. You know what? I'm skipping Medivacs. We're going for a really fast third to try to catch up in economy and a really fast fourth, both built on location secretly in the corners. And I'm going 15 barracks, pure bio, double upgrades with no Medivacs. And, like, you know, and it's like, okay, there are ways they could counter this, but if I hide it a little and I do this weird gamble, like, there's a way I can make this work. So it's cool because you learn to give up this, like, clutching it. I can't give any chance of losing. I can't give any chance of losing. That's the worst thing you can have as a StarCraft player, because the moment you become stiff in your play, it's like, oh, like, your opponent is just you're gonna give them chances to get back in the game. You're gonna panic with every little thing that goes wrong because you're gonna be worried about losing rather than thinking about winning. And you can never get into that mindset. You got to try and always be aggressive and don't be afraid to take some risks. So I like these styles, man. I really like them. They're really cool. So we took a lot of damage at the start with the cancelled CC. It wasn't crazy. The CC was bad. But it was bad, yeah. I mean, our opponents played very safe, thankfully for us, with, like, building a pack of roaches. So this is, like, a pretty honest, I don't know why. I want to say the name is gonorrhea, even though it's clearly not. It's gonorrhea? It kind of is gonorrhea. Yeah, almost.
No, I think it's gonorrhea.
Yeah.
If you pronounce the J, like, if it's a Latin J.
Yeah, gonorrhea.
Gonorrhea. You know.
Does anyone here speak Spanish? How do we pronounce gonorrhea? How's gonorrhea spelled in Spanish? Please let us know if we're on point.
Highly doubt that that's actually.
I highly doubt
Spanish
it. Yes. Okay, so we're gonna go for our push. Third CC goes down. We got the depots. We got the lib. I love that you found your way back to your build order after a weird start. That makes me very happy always. Another lib's on the way as well, even though we've already got 2 out. One's going in. Another one's coming across. Hellbat's here. Marauders, focus fire. Are we going to focus fire? We are. Good. Very nice. Yeah, you control click those Marauders, shuffling them forward. Nicely done. Very nice micro. Liberator is ravaging the main base. Once again, I feel like the Liberator and the Disruptor, much better units to be named Ravagers than Ravagers. Ravagers are good, but I feel like other units do a lot more ravaging than them. Well, this is just game, right? Do you win here?
Not yet. He's got mutas. I mean, he never really recovers from this push, to be fair, but he does have mutas, and he's going to try to make my life difficult with those. But what I do is whenever I see mutas at this point in the game, I just build a ton of Widow Mines and hide them around my base. Yeah. And because I know that he needs to do damage with those mutas in order to get himself back in the game. And so, I'll send in a few like Hellions and Marauders to their deaths just to distract him. To
Yeah.
give myself a little bit of time to build those turrets, build those Widow Mines.
I really like Bernie Car boom boom zoom zoom form for this, because I feel like if you ran in zoom form and then morph to Hellbats in the mineral line, because you got a lot to do at home. Frantic eBay's turrets, try to get BCs, try to hide mines. You're trying to do all this. So don't get me wrong, I know you can't actively micro the Hellions because you're busy at home and you're prioritizing that. So I like what you're doing. I just think that 3 Hellion run by, if we just told that run in the mineral line then morph, I think it would have been real nice. So just a little tweak, little adjustment there.
That makes sense.
I was actually going to criticize the lib that went back into the main, because I was like, oh, those mutas are still at home. I would actually have hidden it in the top and then gone in. But it was only like 5 mutas at that point. They actually took so long to kill the 5 or 6 Hellbats at the third base that it was totally fine. It was actually totally fine. And oh, don't get baited. Don't get oh my god, I thought he was going to run it, and he does. He does barely. And again. Oh my god, that's so gross.
So many of my builds are motivated by 2 facts about StarCraft. 1, 4 mines kill any number of mutas. And 2, it takes 7 banelings to kill a marauder.
Oh my god, very nice. Was it you recently who was talking about dropping Marauder into the banelings sometimes?
I do. I run my marauders into the banelings, trying to activate them, because I know that it's such a bad trade for him.
Yeah, whenever I'm doing fancy drop micro, it's always nice when you can tell a Zerg's not watching and they're a little bit annoyed. And they're looking somewhere else. They're like, I gotta keep my injects up, and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna unload these Marauders one at a time into these 15 banelings. And you're like, oh, he's not watching. The banelings just like, yeah, we'll blow up on that. Oh yeah, 15 banes for 2 Marauders seems like a good trade. They look back, where the hell did my banelings go? And you're like, sorry, buddy. Sometimes hiding a lib versus mutas and going in as they get to your base is just A+ get fucked move. Because especially if they're building drones and no more mutas at home and you've like killed a lot of their queens, they often just bring their mutas home. And it's like that crucial moment where, especially if your Widow Mines aren't quite set up or whatever, that extra 20-30 seconds where they can't micro the mutas, or they're not watching and the mutas fly into the turrets and the mines because they're, oh, there's a lib. That can be amazing. So I really like that. Also, once mutas are out, what did I say? I said stay in drive-by form. Cue the Hellions to morph Hellbat. And obviously, that's not always the right call if there's still some roaches out and stuff. Like, no, you can just do it the way you did it. Morph Hellbat in the mineral line. Just to get in there faster and get more drones. Okay, cool. So you've gone some BCs. You did snipe the third. So what I'd love to see here, because obviously you swapped off BC production, just like, okay, let's build Thors, is once they're repaired, I would love to see those BCs just continuing to go down the edges of the map. But in this scenario, your opponent actually has so little anti-air, you can really, really mess them up. Your SCV production really froze up this game. Now, this might be something that happens a lot against mutas, because you kind of worry about them. You're building turrets everywhere. So I want to go back a little bit, and I want you to notice something in this game specifically. So you try to go up there and kind of hide that base and stuff. You're like, ah, shit. So this is the point where you get a little triggered by these mutas. But the truth is, I think what you need to remember from this replay and what we can learn is, in this game, we should remember that we cucked our opponent's economy. Okay? So because of that, he can't mass mute them. And they aren't as scary as normal, especially after you snipe the third. And see that he's massing. What is he massing? Drones and spores. So you see this here at this 10 minute. You say, oh, you've droned up. You tried to rebuild a third. You're building spores. There's not that many mutas. Okay. Wait a second. If he goes mutas, it's going to come out pretty late, and you've already got Thors and mines building in decent numbers. Yeah. So I actually don't think you needed to like mass your turrets quite as much here. Because in this game, your BCs alone can defend the mutas. Yeah. If he builds corruptors, you can mass repair, unless he has a crazy corruptor count. I actually think you'd win the fight. Even if you put everything into corruptors, you'd be able to hold with just that. Add the fact that you've got a Thor out. I think you should actually here have been way more focused, and it's hard to do this because you're used to mutas and there's different muta situations.
Yeah.
But you're like, I gotta protect this though. We gotta be careful. But these turrets are actually unnecessary. So I would rather, instead of these turrets, non-stop SCVs, repairing your BCs a little bit quicker and sending them back down the flanks. So then even if the mutas get in and do a little bit of damage, the BCs are ruining his economy more, and you can just rebuild that economy. You can absorb those hits. So just one turret in each mineral line is actually what I would have done. I would have gone, you can adjust this your own way, but we want to find some way of being a bit more flexible here. One turret in each mineral line only, not 3. More focus on SCV production to build your advantage further. Realize that one Thor and a few mines, you know, already has your back at home. So repair BCs and keep doing run-bys down the edges of the map to keep up momentum. And basically, what does that do? What does that do? You will grow economically so much whilst still doing damage to him and building more and more into your, you know, explosion. What's your explosion? In this case, it's bio, because you saw roaches. Yes. Your explosion of could be mass Thors, could be bio, could be whatever the hell you want it to be. Depends on the situation. Whatever your kind of finishing blow is. So I think that would have been pretty cool. What are your thoughts on all that?
Yeah, no, totally agree. Totally agree. I was way more afraid of the mutas than I should have been, given the amount of damage that it did earlier in the game.
And you get so focused on the bio transition, right? We see still no SCVs building, whereas usually you're the opposite. So when you're flying those BCs around, there's no mutas. I could tell you are much more unencumbered, to the point where I was like, dude, we don't even have a single tank. Like, what if a giant Roach or Hydra attack came? This is a little scary. But this time, you know, it's the opposite. So there might be a pattern there where you, like me, freak out a little bit when you see mutts. And you overreact. I know I do. I massively overreact because I'm traumatized by mutas as Terran a little bit too much. So just try to remember, if you're ahead economically enough, just keep hitting the SCVs. Because it would have been so much better, right, if we were going into that transition off 65, 70 SCVs rather than the 55 we've been chilling at. So I'm now getting knocked back to 3 base. It's kind of like, wait a second, he shouldn't have been able to get back to this scenario. So even though I think you're still fine here, it's unnecessarily, you know, stabilized for the Zerg, where it's like, wait, he's not getting a hive, he's getting burrow. Could be up. Could have been a hive. He's got 4 bases. He's got, you know, could have gone double upgrades at this point. Could be getting 1-1 finishing, going into 2-2, going for infestors, or heading to hive for broodlords, ultras, whatever, right? There's a lot of options that could have come out here.
He's getting tunneling claws, which seems like an odd choice.
Yeah, wants to just start burrowing roaches into your base, right? So it's a weird one, but seems to be roaches and swarm hosts is going to try to do some backstab maneuvers. So, you know, unfortunately, not enough combat shield kits here in the United States of Kilkenny.
Yeah, not even upgrading them. Should be.
Yeah, no, you should be upgrading that, mate. Your army, it feels a little bit convoluted here.
Yeah.
It feels like, yeah, because of that early kind of pullback, we got a little bit caught up. And, I mean, I don't mind the bio transition. Yeah, I just think it should have been, like, at some point we stopped doing things to our opponent. Yeah, so let's just rewatch that one more time, because I want to think about this in terms of, like, let's watch your camera on 4 times speed from here. Okay, not here. Wait till the mutas come across, basically.
Yeah.
Because I feel like if those BCs kept going, that would have immediately given you confidence, and you would have been more in your opponent's face. Because you were so in the face up to, like, this point, and then we just get a little bit too turtled. Also, by the way, why do you take top right? Why not take this one down below your natural? I think that's, like, maybe a little better. What do you think?
It's just so exposed, and nobody expects me to take top right. So
yeah, you can get away with it a bit better.
I get away with it a lot, and it's kind of far away, but it's not in the middle. So if somebody goes to attack me, they're definitely gonna see that one on the low ground. I mean, sometimes I do take it, but I didn't this game.
Yeah. So you did your normal BC run by there, and I'm fine with you
Mm-hmm.
stopping at 3. But yeah, here's where we see just like way too many turrets, and it takes us forever to repair these BCs,
Mm-hmm.
and like still no SCVs. Where are those BCs? They're just chilling. So yeah, and then we're like bio transition, let's go, and it's like we're kind of just going to that a bit too early. It's like no, like you really need a bigger economy to make that bio transition super good, right? Like especially because you've gone Thors and mines here. This is not the same as you going 3 BCs straight into it. You built a shitload of expensive factories, Thors, mines, 5 Thors, 15 mines, a ton of turrets. In this scenario, make sure you change your order to the point where we can't go straight bio. We've got to make sure we get up like 4 bases before bio. So that's like a rule that we can add. Rule verse muters. Since investing so much in Thor's turrets mines,
Yeah.
we need at least 4 base 70 SCVs before we can really afford that bio swap properly. Now you can obviously start the barracks before everything's fully crazily established, but like there's got to be a real mind to that expansive mindset of get that 5th up, go to that 6th, etc. And keep those BC run bys going. So like this one here, right? We tack jumped it once again. Could have been diving in. They could have driven in here, driven forwards. So let's with that mid game attack, same as in the previous game. Talked about it. Always have that staged down those flanks of the map is really nice. Cool, man. Let's see where this game goes. So no combat shields, over stimming in, and not quite into the heart of the economy. So there was bad prioritizing here. If you're gonna do that crazy split, which I'm totally down with, he's out of position. Go for it. I think we got to prioritize getting into the main and the natural here, since your BC is already cleansed. You cleansed with fire, the battlecruiser fire, that 4th base in the bottom. I think it was like you basically you killed this front base, which was great. But from that, what did we do? Killed creep. Why are we running south? Like, what are these Marines doing? They're going to a base that's already dead. These other Marines, yeah, they get a few swarm hosts, but we should be in that main and natural, just killing the hive, the roach warren, the drones, the hatcheries.
Yeah.
And you could have killed everything then. And yeah, I mean the bio is somewhat expendable as long as we kind of save these Thors, which you do.
Yeah.
Kill all those drones, leave. BCs are still up. He can't afford to even counter those BCs really. Like he's just got these corruptors. They can teleport home. Awesome. So we're just giving him too much control over this game. Still obviously does look like we win, but definitely could have been a bit more decisive with just diving in a bit more towards the key targets. So what do we focus on with those sort of attacks? Drones first, or tech first, or hatcheries first?
I almost always prioritize drones. As it gets towards the later game, I'll prioritize tech or hatcheries. But especially if there's a particular piece of tech that he's giving me a hard time with, like taking out the roach warren specifically, that's the most important thing I can pick off.
Yeah, I mean infestation pit, if you're on bio, has got to be a key pick off as well, right? Obviously not everyone builds infestors, I guess, so maybe that's why. But obviously if you get the infestation and the hive combo, poo, it's like real nice. The spy going down limits what they can do. But with you don't care. You'd love them to use that spire. So I think with you specifically, you're like, I'm a Biothor. Please make air units. Please. You'd be chill with it. So that's cool. Awesome. Yeah, just go drones a bit harder there. We just didn't follow your normal rule with that attack. So that's good to know. It's always nice to look at it and say, hey, I wasn't doing the wrong thing. In this one game, I didn't quite follow the rule. I got a bit excited and didn't quite realize where all the drones were.
I just didn't know where the drones were. Like I didn't expect there to be so many drones in the natural and in the main, because he should have been, like, he was so mined out.
Yeah.
And so I was hitting the 2 side bases because that's where I expected most of the drones to be.
Yeah, it's just because you did take out most of them at the start. It's just his economy was smaller. You know, he didn't have these bottom bases or anything, so there's nowhere else for it to be. You know, the hatcheries, the tech, and whatever drones are there were always going to be the next juicy target, right? So, so not bad. Cool. Shall we hop in another? So far, not too many optimization stuff. Just a few little tweaks here. should build Hellions as well for excess minerals. I would disagree. Roaches there, unless you've got the APM to do the run bys. But if you're controlling BCs, chat, you've already got bio doors. You got your BCs. It's a lot to control, right? So you don't want to go too crazy. This is Diamond 1 that we're coaching, guys. Kilkenny is using the Chaos build, which is all about fucking up these Zerg players, getting the momentum going. Let's just see if there's anyone else making any really good advice in chat. El Gonorrhea? Yeah, that's definitely a native Spanish speaker, not someone like me who's like, yeah, you just add L in front of the word and it becomes Spanish, man.
Oh, you have to add O to the end of it too.
El Gonorrheo. You're like, what? I'm like, so you put on it's like, oh, you need to work on your accent. You're like, okay, you pull out a sombrero, put it on. You're like, what? Do you even like, when you start going BCs, your minerals spiked in that replay. Yeah. We don't really care, guys. This sort of style, we really give very few fucks about hitting 1200 minerals for a brief moment. Kilkenny was spending the money well, was getting on top of it eventually. So like, I get basically it's zero value is like going, oh, you floated money at X point, because I guess you did say it happened both games, so maybe there's something there where we could be smoother with that transition, but I believe that's kind of, we'll keep an eye on it. Maybe it was a high value note there. Maybe it was. I
should probably think about mass expanding a little bit faster using those.
Yeah, well, I guess there's 2 corner bases, right? We build that into the build. I'm okay with you not doing it in the last game because of the mutas necessarily. And the map, like where the bottom left base is not that secretive. But you can try to get it up. Sometimes it'll go unscouted. Like that game, I don't think he actually ever went down there. But obviously a little map dependent. Like this is a great map for the corner bases to secretly go up.
Yes.
People very rarely go down there, so
now with this map specifically, I have found that this choke point is a bad place for me to attack from. So normally, even though I normally send my Marauder Hellbat into the natural, but with this map and other maps like it, I will send it to the third because
they might have it walled off as well, right?
It's so much easier to get up this big wide ramp than this like trench with the rock and
What game timer do you normally hit? Have you ever benchmarked your attack?
I need to get more precise. I always send it right after the Liberator pops. So I'm sending it now.
Because I haven't been benchmarking it either, but just something that's interesting. I'm realizing like, wait, now that I'm watching it for the 3rd time, it would be nice if I kind of had a bit more of a benchmark ready. Okay, we left our wall down, obviously a big mistake. Thankfully, Hellions just popped. Your Marauder production was off this game, I believe, because we've only got 3 Marauders with the push. So I'm pretty sure we had like 5.
Yeah, this is probably a little bit. I should have had more Marauders. I'm lighter this game than I normally am.
So like, let's just take a look at that barracks. Ooh, Tech Lab was a little late, and then Marauder production was quite late. Yeah, and then second one starts right after first.
Yeah,
another 20.
Hellions too much.
Yeah, and I mean, we were just distracted earlier on as well. Your armory came down too early this game, right? It's like earlier than it was necessary. And we'd already missed one Marauder or 2. Probably 1.5, I would say. So definitely Marauder production was a little off this game. And this is the game where your opponent's going Roach Ravager. So that's going to hurt you, right? And we saw some Roaches like in that previous game. And you killed them real fast with your 4 Marauders. You might have even had a 5th coming in. I can't quite remember. The first game, I think it was 5 Marauders when you went in on Nightshade. So, yeah, a bit of a shame that we kind of missed that there. And, I mean, yeah. Oof, let's double check that run by real quickly. What the fuck happened here? Was it just forgetting to raise it? I think you were rallied across the map, which you have a tendency to do sometimes, right?
Yeah, I'm not rallying across the map, but everything I have is on the other end, and I just don't have anything here.
Yeah, got to get that clean raise on those depots, right?
Yeah.
So that should just be something. We move out, we raise those depots.
Yeah,
Part
I
of me
need
says it's nice to just bring your unit straight across and reinforce like a crazy person. So
That's what I normally do. Like I leave the depots down so I can keep reinforcing, but in this game that was not good.
yeah, I mean, anytime they have lings like that, like my favorite counter to any, if I realize someone's doing Hellbat timing, I know they're not going to have a wall off up real quick. And if they do a really fast one, just no wall off. If they do a slower one, a lot of the time I can just hit that wall. There's nothing behind it just after they've left the base. And I'm like, either you come home and clean this up or I'm going to, force a lot of repair off. So just 12 or 14 Zerglings can do big damage because they're useless in the frontal fight as well if you've already built those lings. So definitely something there where we can work on raising that. It's kind of up to you, I would say, percentage-wise. How often are these Ling Runbys hitting against this build? Because you go Viking, they don't have an Overlord on the Pervert Pillar.
Yeah.
So them coming in at the right time is rather unlikely, you could argue. You could also say to yourself, oh, like, you could build in, oh, my Hellions, I always queue them to attack up here, and then to the Watchtower, and then down here, like before the attack even is ready to move out.
That's what I should do. I should because I have some downtime while I'm building Hellions, but they're not really doing anything, and it's before the lib pops. And so I should, if I used that time, let's see if it would have worked in this game. So if I use that time and send these Hellions to go scout a little bit.
So yeah, I guess about this point, or like just before the lib pops, anytime around there, 4 or 6 Hellions. And I mean, it wouldn't have worked out this game by the looks of it.
No,
but that's just bad timing. Like a lot of the time you'll catch it, right? So if we can minimize the chances and then allow you to still keep the depots down, not bad.
Yeah.
I like it. All right, that's cool. In terms of the micro at home, obviously things happened all at once. Could we have crisis managed better? Of course, we always can. Let's take a look. Let's just take a look, see if there's any real simple step we could have taken here. So let's watch from your camera first of all. Oops. All right, here we go. All right, Marauder added to control group or sent across, A moved, 3/3 CC down. Oh shit. Okay, you see this? Oh, you see this? All right.
Yeah.
That Hellion 100% should have clicked between the mineral and the gas. That same point I told you about with the Marauder. If you got it in there and then you just A-moved your SCVs and queued them to go back to mining, you can focus fully on the front. You don't even need to look at this. Some SCVs might die. The Hellion might die. You will clean this up. That's not 40 Zerglings, right? That's fine. So instead, I think what you did was you A-moved one Hellion. We A-moved the other Hellion.
Yeah.
We built gases and we went to micro our attack. I think. Let's take a look. Oh, you'd already queued the attack actually. So well done.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. If you get the Hellion in the gap, and then like the best trick is if they're fighting the SCVs already, and you're like, no, go after the Hellion. Is you just tell the SCVs, like if you'd already attacked with them, you just click them on the minerals, so that the Lings all go for the Hellion, and then you do give another attack move. So all the Lings kind of stack up in front of the Hellion. And then it also means that the Lings will automatically end up attacking different SCVs that probably weren't the ones they were already hitting. You end up kind of getting a bit of surface area. Your Hellion's doing good splash. That's the lovely combo where, I've had times where a single Hellion using those gaps between the minerals can kill dozens and dozens of Lings when comboed with the SCV like that. It's very nice. So that's cool. Two things for that. Okay. 2 pointers. We're almost out of time, so we'll just blitz through the rest of this one.
Sure.
So Hellions check 3rd and 4th for Ling run by before moving out. So that's cool. Your opponent just happened to time it perfectly. It'll happen. Verse Ling run by into minerals. Wedge Hellion in between mineral gap. Then A move SCVs. Stack on minerals or gas. Then A move again. If you want to save the SCVs taking too much damage, right? Basically. And especially with this one, you could do it on the gas geyser if that's taken. If the Hellion's there, you drill through the Zerglings in front of it onto the gas, and you A-move, and all your SCVs kind of surround and kill the Zerglings all at once. It can be really nice. Yeah, when you pull that off real clean, it feels so good, man. Liberator's still going to do awesome damage. Oh, such a savior, that lib, eh?
Oh, yeah. And I think I have a second lib coming in, too.
And we micro it. Good job. It's not going to do much, though. Oh, actually, yeah, it does enough. Does enough. 2, 3 drones, 4 drones, 5 drones. And the Vikings still having an absolute fucking party. Yeah, boy.
4 overlords so far.
Yeah, this is, I mean, if you guys out there on the ladder, you always go and put all your overlords over the map like that, you are rewarding anyone who opens Phoenix or Viking. Once you get past 6 minutes, there usually isn't a Viking or a Phoenix still hunting. That's the point where you can start spreading overlords on the map. You start to have more anti-air yourself. But if you do that at the start of the game, a single early Viking or Phoenix is going to get those kills. And it's also that it's so early in the game, in the economic build-up, those are more impactful overlords. Because that's early game damage. Every overlord you lose when you're on 40 drones is like, fuck, ow, ow, ow. You're on 70 workers, you lose 3 overlords, you're like, don't care. Like, you know, I'm on 3 bases. It's just not as impactful. It's not slowing me down as much. So that's something to remember, guys. So in this one, those libs kept going. We got the BCs on the way. The 3rd base is there. Our Vikings seeing the Lings. Our Hellions are going to go have a bit of a barbecue.
Yeah.
Cool. You're starting your bio transition too early, I think. Yeah, no corner base. Like
So.
we can see just habitually, yes, those corner bases that I was talking about, man. They're going to be the bomb. Now, I'm not sure. I think it's because you saw the Roach Warren. You'd actually seen a Bailey Nest as well. But you were like, okay, I saw Roaches. They defended the Hellbat attack. I want to go bio. But yeah, if we had those corner bases up, ooh, it would be so much nicer. And remember, what else? What else? We would have already swapped the factory over and be building a tank.
Yes. Yeah.
Why were these Hellions not on the other side of the map, by the way? Wouldn't they normally join for a Hellbat attack at this point? Did we see that Roach attack coming or something? Like, what happened here?
I attacked the yeah, they didn't go after that. They just kind of stayed at home. And then
okay. Because I think they would have been way
BCs
more
went
effective
across.
if they actually joined the BCs. Because you
Agreed.
can't really fight the Roaches anyway, right? Like, they
Yeah.
don't really do anything. And if you had a tank come out, you pull the SCVs, lift the base, raise your natural wall, shit, get behind it, tank sieges up with those 2 Marauders and you're fine. And then, yeah, your Hellions could be in all 3 bases right now, or in 1 or 2 bases. BCs do come home to defend. And once again, corner bases would have been absolute godlike. He might have found the top left. He would not have found the bottom right. Awesome. This is really good. This is so good. This tells us that all the points we've said, like, would have improved not just that game. They weren't one-off pointers. This is good. This is reassuring.
Yes.
It would have helped. It's good to have that affirmation, right? We're like, okay, this is solid advice. Because some of these things might not be 100% correct, right? It's a volatile style you're playing. None of this is locked in stone, right? Do you lose this one?
I don't remember.
That's 8 times. We gotta finish because we're
Looks like
out
I'm
of time
behind
here.
right now.
Yeah, you do, but you know, you're. Yeah, okay. Now we fucked. Now we did. He just what was that? 2-2 Roach Hydra, 1-1 versus 2-2 for us. I'm not sure if it was ready or not, but we have that. Let's go back a little. Actually, let's watch that fight because I think once again we just ran forward. We like, this is your go-to is like YOLO into 3 bases, go. But you'd already thrown your BCs away, so I don't think this made sense this time.
Yeah.
Like you had no other prongs. The whole reason this works is you are literally trading into your opponent's economy because you don't like sitting there. Okay, so you did have 2 BCs still alive that hit the main. Once again, they tack jumped in. Imagine if they flew in, right? We keep talking about that. Our army's pretty small in general.
Agreed.
And these Marines get above that mineral line. There's no drones there. Oh, he's going to main our drones into our army. That's nice of him. All right. But this would have been way better if we ran away after doing that damage.
Yeah.
Let's see. Do we pick anything up? We saved some units. No. Oh, why are they still there? No.
I was way overcommitted.
Yeah. If we should have just killed that and left. So if we just killed that and left, that would have been a lot better. Especially because this is right before 2-2 kicks in. So like, and you've done this every game, by the way, is you've always attacked right before 2-2. I want you to keep in mind that unless the fight looks really good, like the more of that bio you actually get out of there in a situation like this, your PowerPoint is now when 2-2's kicking in, right? So that's actually something, because every game you've hit maybe 30 to 45 seconds before 2-2 finishes. So that's something we can keep in mind. Now, you're building more BCs right now. Imagine if we had a tank or two. Oh my god, he's going to headbutt his Ravages. And you know what? We've killed enough economy. Oh my god! You broke his brain. It's the Chaos style, man.
Yeah.
Ooh, we forgot to repair that command center, Kilkenny. But, oh my god, he's going to morph Broodlords there.
Yep.
Your army really needs to just go across the map. You just need to rally Vikings or BCs to it. Don't stand there, Bayer. Oh no, what are you doing? I mean, wait, he actually moved in Marine range? Holy fuckity shit. How the hell did he manage? Do you guys see this? Oh my god. I told you guys, Kilkenny breaks people's brains, man. Oh my god, look at this mother trucker. I was like, whoa, dude, you're going to gift him a bio army. Good job, man. And he's like, no. No. And then he realizes and stays in range. Oh.
And then...
Yeah. I was like, there's no way he gives you a GG. Like, you know they're at wit's end when they go and morph Broodlords behind your third. They're like, fuck, this fucking stupid game. Stupid. This is unfair. Dude, what a good way to finish the session. That was a really cool comeback there. You broke his brain. So that's awesome to refine a crazy style that you're already excelling with. That's a really fun coaching sesh. I appreciate you wanting to do that with me. It's been over a year since we looked at it. You've come a long way with it. And what I'm most impressed with is that you've mapped everything out. So much more there. So much more.
That's totally true.
Which is just awesome. Yeah, I mean, in a final word, since this is our last coaching session for the immediate future, definitely I would say bunker pushes, bunker all-ins against Protoss is probably the way to go, right? Because you're looking for other all-ins in that matchup at the moment. I don't have any off the top of my head, but I would say anything where you build an expansion to be like, hey, I'm doing a normal build, and then you just go straight for a reactor, either reactor first or after the Reaper, and you just build Marines, and you just go across with like your first tank and 8 Marines and a few SCVs and try to build some bunkers outside their natural. And you rally and you go like probably one medevac and then a Liberator, or maybe a Liberator first, and the Liberator goes into their main. Just this sort of shit. Or it could be Banshee tank Marine as well. And it's either attack with the first tank or with the second tank, and always bring 4 or 5 SCVs for bunker building and repairing tanks and repairing bunkers. And see if that works. I don't know what the meta is for you, but I would say you want an aggressive attack rather than your one base all-ins. You show a Protoss a command center, much more likelihood they're going to try and play a normal game. For many Protoss involves 1 Stalker and 1 Adept trying to defend until they have 2 Forges, 2 Robos, Templar Archives, and 66 Probes. I don't know. Maybe you got a lot more cheesy Protoss that you play against at the moment in your region, on your ladder, in your MMR range. But that's my advice for now. So hopefully that leads you to some success. We'll see how it goes.
I will try that. What I have been doing against TVP, other than what we worked on in our last coaching session, is doing having a Rax at home, and then sending 2 SEVs across the map to build 2 separate Raxes in 2 different locations, so that if one's scouted, they don't know that there's 2, and then sending in a bunch of Marines, building tech labs on all 3 Raxes, sending in a bunch of Marauders, and then eventually having like a tank and a Liberator that just shuts them out, basically prevents them from ever getting on 2 bases. So I've had some success with that because nobody does anything like that, I think, on the ladder. It's at least unusual enough that people don't know how to deal with it. It even does okay against like Protoss 1 base all-ins, just because they're going across the map at about the same timing that I'm coming in for my attack, so they either have to come back and fight Marines with Stalkers, or they go into a base race and they can't float the buildings. So
cool. That's a fun one. That's very funky, man. That's cool. Reminds me, I did some coaching, a bit lower MMR with Omamorki the other week, and he was doing it was like a Marauder contain into nuking them, and and he was trying to go like 4 ghosts for EMP and EMPing shield batteries and cloak before nuke, and I was like, just get 1 ghost. Like, you got him contained on 1 base, the nuke's gonna hit stuff. Like, just go a single ghost. You don't need cloak. Just do a conservative nuke and then do another one slightly in front of that, and let's, we don't need to focus on going mass ghost. And it was pretty cool. He was killing some people. So there's some cool builds you can do with that. So good luck with that. Hopefully we can do some more sessions at some point in the future. Hit me up in chat anytime as well. Keep showing us your cool games, and GG's, man.
Good. Thank you very much.
No worries. Enjoy your weekend, man. I'll see you in chat, see you around. Hopefully cast you an icy fire as well. Have you sent one in this week?
I did. I sent in an icy fire.
Don't spoil it. Don't spoil it in case I cast it.
I won't talk about it. All that I'll say is that it was for the most recent one, which is the Spellcasters game.
Awesome.
And it was one of the most fun games I've played in a long time. So I really hope it gets picked.
Oh, hells yeah, man. Awesome. All right. Thanks so much for that, brother. All right. Well, hopefully I cast your game in a couple days. Of course, we cast it a day later now, but there's a new topic posted on the exact same day. So it's the same time frame for submitting. Everyone has to have it submitted by like end of tomorrow. It's weird with dates. End of tomorrow, basically. But yeah, basically we're casting it a day later, but there's a new topic every Monday morning my time. That's Sunday for you guys, and you guys can check it out then. Awesome. All right, man. Have a good night. Enjoy your weekend, dude.
You too. Stay safe.
Good night, man. All right. Good stuff. That was awesome, guys. Thank you very much for the support today.